3.5 billion questions are asked on Google every single day. But I'll wager there's some things you've always wondered about but never Googled. For example, why can't a robot simply press the I'm not a robot button? Why exactly do we get goosebumps and brain freezes? And why do maple syrup bottles have those tiny handles? I'm Charlie and today we're going to look at some interesting facts you're too lazy to Google. But before we jump into it, why not subscribe and press the notification bell? Why can't a robot press I'm not a robot? Nowadays, we pretty much realize that computers and AI are smarter than human beings. They're even better at things like sports and chess than us. So what stops a super smart AI computer from pressing the I'm not a robot button? You'll see this on every single reCAPTCHA system. These are to prevent people using robots and automating making accounts or spamming websites. The reCAPTCHA system is programmed by Google, and it records everything you do on the page and makes sure you're a human. This includes accidentally pressing your mouse or something else that humans would do and robots wouldn't. While a robot would simply move the cursor in a straight line to the box, humans usually move their cursor around a lot more. It's almost impossible for a robot to replicate exactly how a human does this. But if you move the mouse in a really straight line before clicking the box, it may think you're a robot and reject the request. Why do we dislike our voice in recordings? We've all been there, we've heard our voice in a recording and cringed. Hey, I do it every day when I record these videos. We think we sound way better in our heads, but we don't like how we sound on recordings. But why is that? Well, the answer is all in our bones. We only hear the sounds conducted by air, but recording only contains some sounds. The way we hear our voice is a combination of regular sounds and the low frequency sounds conducted by the bones in our skulls. So that's why we don't recognize our voice in recordings. But which one is real, the one we hear when speaking or the one in recordings? Well, unfortunately, everyone else hears the one in recordings. But don't worry, it only sounds bad to you because you're not used to it. Why do we close our eyes when eating sour foods? Imagine biting into a lemon or a sour warhead candy. We always close our eyes when doing this, but why? Well, it's actually a natural reaction we've got thanks to evolution from our ancestors. Think of the first people in history to discover lemons. They had no idea what they were. When they bit into them, their taste buds recognized mucose membranes. This then caused their eyes to close to prevent sour lemon juice getting into them. That's because sour, acidic foods like lemons can damage mucose membranes. So really, it's simply a reflex to prevent the sour lemon juice going into your eye. This will even happen if you're eating something which can't go into your eye, for example a sour warhead candy. But it's a pretty handy reflex and we have to thank our ancestors for that. Goosebumps. Have you ever been listening to a great song and got goosebumps? Maybe you've also got them in an emotional situation, or maybe you were simply in cold weather. These are all situations where we get goosebumps, but why do they happen? Well, they're actually an ancient phenomena that we got from animals. Goosebumps come from the constrictions of our hair follicles. Animals also get goosebumps and it helps them warm up faster. Also, in case of a threat, their hair standing on end makes them look bigger and more scary in front of an enemy. In humans and in animals, this is caused by a subconscious adrenaline hormone emission. This is basically a sudden burst of adrenaline we get from a scary or emotional situation. And also when we're cold and want to warm up. Of course, unlike animals, we don't have hair all over our bodies. That's why goosebumps are pretty pointless for humans, but we still have them from animals. Brain freeze. When we get a bit too excited about ice cream and eat too much at once, we get brain freeze. But why is it we get this terrible headache from drinking cold water or eating cold food? This can also happen when you're jogging in the cold and breathe in cool air. Well, it's connected with our palate vessels constrictions. This is basically our reaction to low temperatures. When something cold hits the roof of your mouth, it triggers your trigeminal nerve. It realizes you're getting cold in that one spot, so it sends a rush of blood to the roof of your mouth. And in the process, this causes us some pain in our head. So basically, it's your body reacting to you suddenly being cold in one area. It freaks out and pumps a load of blood to that area so you can warm up again. This is why if you get brain freeze, you should put your tongue on the roof of your mouth. This will cause your mouth to be less cool, and thus less blood will rush towards it, causing you less pain. Looking better in the mirror than in photos. We've all been there, we see ourselves in the mirror and we look great. But then as soon as we pull out our phone to take a selfie, we look terrible. So why is it that we look so much better in the mirror than in photos? First off, the mirror is a reflection of us, it's not how we actually look. We're used to seeing ourselves flipped in the mirror, so photos don't really look right. Also, most human faces are not symmetrical. One ear or one eye may be slightly bigger than the other. Or we may have certain imperfections or markings on our face. Some people also part their hair on one side in the mirror, but then a photo flips it, making it look strange. Your friends and family will like your photo because they won't realize anything's wrong with you. That's because it's how you appear to them every day. It simply boils down to your expectations of how you think you'll look. But if you really don't like your selfies, you could always flip them in editing software. Soda bottle bumps. Why is it that water bottles are usually flat on the surface, but soda bottles always have those bumps? The 5-pointed bottom is not a way to make the bottle look fancier or to make them put less liquid inside it. Instead, it's all about stability in the bottle not falling over. Drinks like sodas are meant to be served chilled, and when you cool a liquid, this will change the volume. That's because these drinks are carbonated. We all know that if you freeze or chill liquid, it expands. This is why if you leave an empty soda bottle out in the sun, it will shrivel up, but not fall over. That's because the 5 bumps give it grip and make sure it never falls over. Why does our skin darken and hair lighten in the sun? When we go out in the sun, we always look a lot better. That's because it darkens our skin and makes our hair more light. But why would it darken one part of our body and make another part more light? Well, it's all down to something called melanin. The sun breaks melanin, which is responsible for the color of your hair and skin. The only difference is skin is living while hair is not. When the pigment is broken, it's not replenished in the hair. In the sun, melanin in your hair is not replenished, making it lighter. But because your skin's alive, melanin is produced in the sun. This makes it more dark. This is why some people wear UV sunscreen. Ultraviolet sunscreen protects the melanin in your skin. This makes your pigment more strong and means melanin won't be produced as quickly. But at the same time, you also won't be as suntanned or burnt. Maple syrup handles. Have you ever had a real bottle of maple syrup from Canada? If so, you'll notice one very distinct design feature in every single bottle of maple syrup. That is that tiny little handle. You may say, obviously that's for pouring. But realistically, you could only get your pinky finger into this thing, it's so tiny. This handle is not for pouring, instead it dates back from when maple syrup used to be packaged in a 5-gallon jug. They don't make these big bottles anymore, instead they're much smaller, but they still wanted the classic handle, so they simply made the handle smaller too. It makes it seem more oldie-worldy and classic. Maple syrup is a big deal in Canada and they did not want to break tradition. So that's why we have those cute, tiny handles on maple syrup bottles. But now it's time to make your voice heard. Vote in the poll in the top right corner which was the most interesting fact on this list. If you want some more amazing videos, then check out my second channel. But as always, thank you for watching. There's some more awesome videos on screen right now. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.